Dr. Alina Rodriguez had seen many strange things in her 20 years as a scientist, but nothing could have prepared her for this assignment. The phone call came at 3 in the morning, waking her from a deep sleep. A gruff voice on the other end simply said, "Pack your bags. You're needed in Nevada. This is classified." Now, standing outside a concrete building in the middle of nowhere, Alina felt her heart racing. The desert stretched endlessly in all directions, with only this mysterious facility breaking the monotony. Armed guards checked her credentials 3 times before allowing her inside. "Welcome to Project Sanctuary," said Colonel Williams, a stern man with gray hair and tired eyes. "What you're about to see must never leave this building, do you understand?" Alina nodded, though her mind was spinning with questions. As they walked down sterile white corridors, she noticed how quiet everything was. Usually, research facilities buzzed with activity, but this place felt almost empty. "Where is everyone?" she asked. The colonel's face darkened. "That's why you're here, Doctor. We've had 12 researchers quit in the past month. Good people, experienced scientists, all requesting immediate transfers." They stopped at a heavy metal door with a small window. Lena could see into what looked like a large, comfortable room. There were books scattered around a bed, a table with half-eaten food, and sitting in the corner was the most incredible sight she had ever witnessed. The being was enormous, easily 8 feet tall, even while sitting. Her skin was the deepest black Alina had ever seen, like looking into space itself. 6 powerful arms moved gracefully as she turned the pages of a book, and when she looked up, her eyes glowed like golden stars. "We call her Zara," the colonel whispered. "She's been here for 3 months." Lena pressed closer to the window, studying the alien woman. Despite her size and unusual appearance, something about her seemed sad, the way she sat alone. It's the careful way she handled the delicate book pages, the dejected slope of her massive shoulders. "What happened to the other scientists?" Lena asked. "They couldn't handle being near her. Some said she was too frightening. Others claimed she was dangerous, though she's never shown any aggression. A few just said being in the same room made them feel sick with fear." Lena watched as Zara gently placed the book aside and stared out a small window at the desert beyond. There was something deeply lonely about the gesture that tugged at Elena's heart. "Has anyone actually tried to communicate with her?" Colonel Williams shrugged. "We've tried everything. Interpreters, computer programs, sign language specialists. She just sits there, watching us with those glowing eyes. It's unsettling." Alina studied Zara more carefully. The alien woman's skin wasn't just black. It shimmered with subtle patterns that seemed to shift and change. Her 6 arms moved, in what almost looked like deliberate gestures, as if she was trying to say something without words. "I want to go in," Alina said suddenly. "Absolutely not. Protocol requires at least a week of observation first." "Colonel, with respect, your protocol isn't working. 12 scientists have quit because they're approaching this all wrong. You're treating her like a dangerous animal instead of an intelligent being." The argument that followed was heated but brief. Alina had a reputation for getting results with difficult subjects, and the project was desperately behind schedule. Finally, the colonel agreed to let her try, but with strict safety protocols. As Alina put on the protective gear, she noticed how heavy and uncomfortable it was. The helmet made everything feel distant and artificial. She made a decision that would change everything. She took it off. "Dr. Rodriguez, you must wear the protective equipment." "She's not dangerous," Alina said firmly. "Look at her. Really look. She's not threatening anyone. She's lonely." Before anyone could stop her, Alina opened the door and stepped inside. The room fell silent. Zara looked up from her book, and for a moment, the 2 beings just stared at each other. Alina noticed that Zara's breathing had quickened, and the patterns on her skin were shifting more rapidly, instead of standing by the door like the other researchers probably had. Alina walked to the center of the room and sat down on the floor. She made herself smaller, less threatening, and waited. Zara tilted her massive head, clearly puzzled by this human's behavior. Her golden eyes studied Alina with obvious intelligence, and Alina could see the gears turning in her alien mind. "Hello," Alina said softly. "My name's Alina. I'm here to meet you, not to study you like a specimen." Zara didn't respond with words, but the patterns on her skin began to glow more brightly. Alina noticed they seemed to pulse in rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. From her bag, Alina pulled out a simple sandwich and a bottle of water. Instead of eating immediately, she broke the sandwich in half and offered part to Zara. The alien woman's eyes widened in what Alina could only interpret as surprise. Slowly, carefully, she reached out with one of her 6 hands and accepted the offering. Her movements were so gentle that Alina realized she was being extremely careful not to accidentally hurt the much smaller human. As they sat there sharing a simple meal, Alina felt something shift in the room. It's the fear that seemed to permeate. This place began to fade, replaced by something else entirely, the beginning of understanding. Outside, Colonel Williams and his team watched in amazement through the security cameras. For the first time since Zara's arrival, she wasn't sitting alone. She was sharing space with another being, and both seemed completely at peace. Alina noticed that when Zara ate, she made small humming sounds of contentment. When she drank the water, she closed her eyes, as if savoring every drop. These were not the actions of a monster or a threat. These were the actions of someone who had been alone for far too long and was grateful for even the smallest kindness. As the hour passed, Alina began to see past the alien appearance to something fundamentally familiar: the universal need for connection, for understanding, for simple companionship. Whatever Zara was, wherever she had come from, she was not so different from any other being who found themselves far from home and desperately alone. When Alina finally stood to leave, Zara made a sound, not quite a word, but clearly an attempt at communication. The patterns on her skin pulsed in what seemed like a farewell gesture. "I'll be back tomorrow," Alina promised, though she wasn't sure if Zara could understand her words. As the door closed behind her, Alina knew that everything had changed. She had just had the first peaceful contact between human and alien in the history of both species. And it had happened not through technology or protocols, but through the simple act of sharing a meal and treating another being with basic respect and kindness. Alina returned the next morning with fresh coffee and warm pastries from the base cafeteria. Word had spread quickly about her successful first contact, and she could feel curious eyes following her through the corridors. Some looked hopeful, others skeptical. But everyone wanted to know how she had managed what 12 other scientists could not. When she entered Zara's room, she found the alien woman sitting exactly where she had left her. But something was different. The book that had been carelessly placed aside yesterday was now neatly arranged on the table, and Zara's posture seemed more alert, more expectant. "Good morning," Alina said cheerfully, settling into the same spot on the floor. She noticed how Zara's golden eyes tracked her movements with obvious intelligence. For the first hour, they sat in comfortable silence. Alina worked on her research notes while Zara continued reading what appeared to be a basic English textbook. Occasionally, Alina would glance up to find Zara watching her with an expression that seemed almost curious. It was during the second day that Alina noticed something remarkable. The shifting patterns on Zara's skin weren't random at all. They seemed to respond to different situations. When Alina entered the room, the patterns brightened and moved faster. Pulsed in rhythm with her voice. When she smiled, they took on warmer, golden tones. "You're trying to communicate, aren't you?" Lena said softly. Zara's entire body went still. The patterns on her skin flickered once, then settled into a steady, hopeful glow. By the third day, Lena had established a routine. She would arrive with breakfast. They would eat together in companionable silence. And then Alina would work while Zara read, or simply observed. The alien woman seemed fascinated by the most ordinary human activities, as she watched intently as Alina wrote notes as she organized her papers, even as she unconsciously hummed while working. It was during one of these quiet moments that Zara finally spoke. Why? The word came out deep and resonant, with strange musical undertones that made Elena's spine tingle. It was clearly a struggle for Zara to form human sounds. Elena looked up from her notebook, heart racing. You can speak? Zara nodded slowly, her 6 hands gesturing uncertainly. Learning, from... She paused, searching for words, from the talking box. She pointed to a small television in the corner that Alina hadn't noticed before. You've been learning English from TV? Yes. Learning, many days, many nights. Zara's voice grew stronger with each word, though it still carried that otherworldly harmonic quality. But, question. Alina set down her pen and gave Zara her full attention. What question? Zara leaned forward and Alina could see something vulnerable in those glowing eyes. Everyone, Everyone is afraid of me. But why? She paused, struggling with the pronunciation. Why aren't you afraid of me, human? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with loneliness and confusion. Alina felt her heart break a little at the pain she heard in Zara's voice. You want to know why I'm not afraid? Alina asked gently. Zara nodded eagerly, the patterns on her skin brightening with anticipation. Alina thought carefully about her answer. Because fear usually comes from not understanding something. When I look at you, I don't see a monster or a threat. I see someone who's very far from home, trying to make sense of a world that doesn't understand her. Zara's eyes widened. See me? Of course I see you. I see how carefully you turn the pages of your books so you don't tear them. I see how gently you take food from my hands. I see how you sit by the window looking sad. Those aren't the actions of someone dangerous. For a long moment, Zara was silent. Then, to Elena's amazement, her patterns shifted to something beautiful. Warm golds and soft blues that seemed to dance across her dark skin. On my world, Zara said slowly, these patterns, they are words. Happy words, sad words, friendship words. But humans, they see patterns and become afraid. Lena leaned forward, fascinated. You've been trying to talk to people this whole time? Yes. Every day I try to say hello and friend and please don't fear me, but they run away or hide behind glass walls. The tragedy of the situation hit Alina like a physical blow. For 3 months, Zara had been trying to communicate friendship and peace, but her alien method of expression had only frightened people more. Show me, Alina said. Show me how to understand your language. Zara's patterns erupted in what could only be described as joy. She began moving her hands in graceful gestures while her skin displayed flowing patterns of light. This, she said, as waves of gentle blue moved across her arms. This means peace and no harm. Alina watched in wonder as Zara demonstrated different patterns. Warm golds meant happiness and friendship. Soft greens indicated curiosity or questions. Deep purples showed sadness or longing. And this, Alina asked, pointing to a new pattern of silver and white that had appeared. Zara's voice grew soft. This means ... gratitude. Thank you for seeing me as a person, not monster. Over the following days, Alina learned more about Zara's world and people. They had been a peaceful species, artists and philosophers who valued gentleness above all else. Their fearsome appearance had evolved as protection on a harsh planet, but their hearts were kind. My people, Zara said one afternoon, her patterns showing deep, purple sadness. They are gone. Great fire came from sky. I was ... traveling, learning about stars, when I came home. ... She gestured helplessly. Alina understood. Zara wasn't just an alien visitor. She was a refugee, possibly the last of her entire species, stranded on a world where everyone feared her. You're alone, Alina said softly. Was alone. Now ... Zara's patterns shifted to warm gold. Now have friend who sees true me. Alina. Prepared to leave that day, She noticed Colonel Williams waiting outside with several other officials. Their expressions were impatient, demanding results and progress reports, but as Alina looked back at Zara, now confidently displaying patterns of friendship and hope, she realized they had achieved something far more important than any research. Goal, they had proven that understanding could bridge any gap, no matter how vast or strange. Same time tomorrow? Lena asked. Zara's patterns blazed with golden joy. Yes, friend Alina. Tomorrow we learn more words, more understanding. Walking out past the officials with their clipboards and demands, Alina smiled. They wanted to study. An alien. But she had found something much better. She had found a friend who just happened to come from the stars. Alina couldn't sleep that night. She kept thinking about Zara's question and her own answer. Why wasn't she afraid when everyone else was terrified? The question bothered her more than she wanted to admit. She found herself walking through her childhood memories, searching for clues. Growing up in a small town in Texas, Alina had always been different from other kids. While they played normal games, she collected insects and studied them under a magnifying glass. While they screamed at spiders, she gently caught them and released them outside. But there was something else. Something deeper that shaped how she saw the world. Her younger sister, Carmen, had been born with severe facial differences. A rare condition had left her with features that didn't look like other children. Alina remembered the stares, the whispers, the way people would cross the street to avoid them. She remembered how Carmen would cry after school, asking why people were so mean to her when she was just trying to be friendly. It's not about how you look, their mother used to say. It's about who you are inside. Some people just need time to see past the outside to find the real you. Alina had spent her childhood defending Carmen, helping others see her sister's brilliant mind and kind heart. She had learned early that appearances could be deceiving. The most beautiful souls sometimes came in unexpected packages. Now, sitting in her small room at the facility, Alina realized this was exactly what was happening with Zara. Everyone saw the towering alien form, the glowing eyes, the unusual skin patterns, and their minds immediately jumped to danger. But Alina saw past all that to the lonely being underneath. The next morning, Alina arrived to find Zara practicing human words. In front of a small mirror, she was trying to move her mouth in ways that would produce clearer English sounds, her 6 hands gesturing as she spoke. Good morning, friend Alina, Zara said, her pronunciation much improved from the day before. You've been practicing, Alina? Observed, settling into her usual spot. Yes. Want to speak better? Want to? To share stories of my world with you? Over the following weeks, Alina learned incredible things about Zara's civilization. Her people had been master healers, using advanced knowledge of biology and chemistry to cure diseases that would baffle human doctors. They created art by growing living crystals that sang in harmony with the wind. Their cities were built into the sides of mountains, designed to work with nature rather than against it. We believe, Zara explained one afternoon, her patterns showing peaceful blues and greens, that all life is connected. What hurts one, hurts all. What heals one, heals all. Alina was fascinated by these stories, but she also noticed something troubling. Government officials had been visiting more frequently, asking pointed questions about progress and results. Colonel Williams seemed increasingly impatient with what he called social visits, instead of proper scientific research. They want me to run tests, Alina told Zara honestly. Medical scans, psychological evaluations, intelligence assessments. Zara's patterns shifted to worried purples. Will it hurt? I don't know, but I won't let them do anything you don't want. To do it was then that Zara shared something that changed everything. Alina, I must tell you something important. Your people, they are not the first I have met. Alina's heart skipped. What do you mean? When my ship was damaged, I sent distress signal. Others of my kind, they came to help. But they saw how humans reacted to me, with fear and weapons. They decided Earth was too dangerous. They left. There are others? Other aliens? Zara nodded sadly. Many species travel the stars. Many have tried to contact Earth, but fear makes friendship impossible. Alina felt the weight of this revelation. Humanity had been missing out on contact with entire civilizations because of fear and prejudice. How many opportunities for knowledge, for growth, for friendship had been lost? Some do stay, Zara continued. The ones who can hide among you. They walk in your cities, work in your buildings, live quiet lives. But beings like me who cannot hide, ... We must stay away. The idea that aliens were already living among humans, disguised and hidden, made Elena's head spin. But it also made her realize how special her friendship with Zara was. She was possibly the first human to have an open, honest relationship with an alien being. That afternoon, Elena made a decision that would change both their lives. She brought her laptop to Zara's room and began documenting everything. Not just scientific observations, but real conversations. She recorded Zara's stories, her wisdom about healing, her knowledge of other worlds. "What are you doing?" asked, watching Elena type rapidly. "I'm making sure your story gets told properly. I'm creating a record that shows who you really are, not just what you look like." Zara's patterns blazed with golden gratitude. "You would do this for me? You're my friend. Friends protect each other." But Elena's activities didn't go unnoticed. The next day, Colonel Williams stormed into her temporary office with a folder full of complaints and concerns. "Dr. Rodriguez, we need to discuss your methods. Several officials are questioning whether you're maintaining proper scientific objectivity. There are concerns that you've become too emotionally involved with the subject." Elena looked up from her notes, feeling a familiar protective anger rise in her chest. It was the same feeling she'd had as a child when people called Carmen names. Her name is Zara, and she's not a subject. She's a person. She's an alien, doctor. An unknown entity that could pose a threat to national security. She's a refugee who's lost everything and everyone she ever loved. She's trying to survive on a world where everyone sees her as a monster. The argument that followed was heated. Officials wanted to move Zara to a more secure facility where proper research protocols could be followed. If she were an object to be studied rather than a living being with thoughts and feelings, Elena realized she was fighting the same battle her family had fought years ago. The battle to make others see past appearances to the person underneath. The battle to prove that different didn't mean dangerous. That evening, Elena sat with Zara and explained the situation. "They want to move you to another place, they think. I'm not doing my job properly because I treat you like a friend instead of a test subject." Zara's patterns showed deep sadness, but also determination. "Elena, you have given me gift no one else has given. You have seen me as I truly am. That cannot be taken away, no matter where they move me. I won't let them hurt you," Elena promised. "No," Zara said, her patterns showing complete trust. "But remember, my friend, fear makes people do terrible things. Be careful." As Elena prepared to leave that night, she knew tomorrow would bring new challenges. But she also knew she had found something precious in her. Friendship with Zara, she had found proof that understanding could overcome any barrier. That kindness could bridge any gap, and that sometimes the most important discoveries weren't made in laboratories, but in the simple act of seeing another being as truly equal. The battle to protect that friendship was just beginning. Elena woke up to alarms blaring throughout the facility. Red emergency lights flashed in the hallways, and she could hear people shouting orders and running in different directions. Something had gone terribly wrong. She threw on her clothes and rushed toward Zara's section of the building, her heart pounding with worry. What if something had happened to her friend? What if the government officials had decided to move Zara in the middle of the night? But as she rounded the corner, she saw something that made her stop in her tracks. A section of the facility's outer wall had collapsed, and debris was scattered everywhere. Through the gap, she could see that one of the underground power cables had been damaged, sparking dangerously and filling the air with the smell of burning electronics. "Elena." Colonel Williams grabbed her arm as she tried to get closer. "Back. The whole electrical system is unstable. We're evacuating this section immediately." "What about Zara? Is she safe?" "It's not your concern right now. We need to get everyone out before the backup power fails completely." Elena looked around frantically. Staff members were running everywhere, some carrying important equipment, others helping injured colleagues who had been caught in the initial collapse. In all the chaos, she realized something that made her blood run cold. Where are the people from the lower levels, the research staff, who were working late? Colonel A. Williams' face went pale. The stairwell in that section is blocked. We're trying to find another way to reach them, but Alina didn't wait to hear the rest. She broke away and ran toward Zara's room, ignoring the shouts behind her. If there were people trapped, if there were lives in danger, she knew exactly who could help. She found Zara standing at her reinforced window, watching the chaos outside with obvious concern. Her skin patterns were shifting rapidly between worried purples and urgent reds. Zara, I need your help. People are trapped, and we can't reach them. Without hesitation, Zara moved toward the door. Show me. Alina quickly explained the situation as they made their way through the damaged corridors. The emergency lighting cast strange shadows, and the air was thick with dust and smoke. Zara moved carefully, her 6 arms helping her navigate around fallen debris that would have blocked Elena's path. When they reached the collapsed area, Elena could hear voices calling for help from below. 3 researchers were trapped in a basement laboratory, and the only way to reach them was through tons of concrete and twisted metal. The rescue equipment won't be here for another hour, one of the emergency workers told Colonel Williams. By then, if that gas line ruptures, ... Zara stepped forward. I can help. The emergency workers took one look at her massive form and glowing eyes and backed away in fear. Even in a crisis, their instinct was to run from her alien appearance. She can lift things that our equipment can't handle, Alina said firmly. She's stronger than any machine you have here. Colonel Williams looked between the trapped people below and Zara's imposing figure. This is highly irregular, ... This is an emergency, Alina shot back. Those are real people down there, and she's offering to help save them. While the officials argued, Zara was already moving. She began carefully lifting pieces of concrete that would have required heavy machinery to move. Her 6 arms worked in perfect coordination, and Alina noticed that despite her obvious strength, every movement was controlled and precise. Be careful of the support beam there, Alina called out, and Zara adjusted immediately. Showing she understood the structural dangers as Zara worked, something remarkable happened. The emergency workers, initially terrified, began to see past their fear. They watched as she gently moved debris aside, how she paused when they called out warnings, how she worked tirelessly without complaint. She's actually helping, one of them whispered in amazement. Look how careful she's being. She's not just strong, she's smart about it. Within 30 minutes, Zara had cleared a path to the trapped researchers, but the rescue was far from over. The basement was filling with dangerous gas, and the conventional rescue equipment was too bulky to fit through the narrow opening she had created. I will go down, Zara announced. Absolutely not, Colonel Williams protested. Can't risk losing our only alien specimen. Alina felt anger flare at his words. Her name is Zara, and she's not a specimen. She's offering to risk her life to save people who have been afraid of her since the day she arrived. Zara's patterns shifted to calm, determined blues. Lena's right, these people are hurt. I have knowledge of healing from my world. I can help them. Before anyone could stop her, Zara carefully lowered herself through the opening. Lena watched anxiously as her friend disappeared into the dangerous basement, knowing that one wrong move could trap them all. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Elena paced anxiously, listening to the radio chatter from below. Finally, Zara's voice crackled through the emergency communicator. First person is ready to come up. One by one, Zara carefully lifted the trapped researchers to safety. The last one, Dr. Peterson, had a badly broken leg. Lena watched in amazement as Zara used techniques from her own world to stabilize the injury before moving him. She saved my life, Dr. Peterson said weakly as the medical team took over. Not just from the collapse, but she did something to stop the bleeding. I don't know how, but she knew exactly what to do. When Zara finally emerged from the basement, she was covered in dust and clearly exhausted. But her patterns showed the warm gold of satisfaction and relief. She had risked everything to save people who had feared her, and she had done it without expecting anything in return. The facility was quiet now, the emergency over. But something fundamental had changed. Lena watched as several staff members approached Zara, no longer running away in fear. Dr. Peterson, despite his injuries, specifically asked to thank her personally. "Why did you help us?" he asked simply. Zara's patterns shifted to gentle blues and greens. "Because you are living beings in danger. In my world, we believe all life has value. Your fear of me does not change my responsibility to help when I..." Colonel Williams stood nearby, looking stunned. Alina knew he was seeing Zara with new eyes, realizing that his alien specimen had just risked her life to save his people that night. As Alina sat with Zara in her room, she felt proud of her friend, but also worried about what would come next. "You were incredible today," Alina said. "You showed everyone who you really are." Zara's patterns showed a mixture of happiness and sadness. "Some see now, but will it be enough? Will they still want to take me to the other place?" Alina didn't have an answer, but she made a silent promise to herself. After what Zara had done today, after she had proven beyond any doubt that she was a friend to humanity, Lena would do everything in her power to protect her. The test had come unexpectedly, and Zara had passed it with flying colors. Now it was time to see if humanity could pass its own test of courage and acceptance. 3 days after the rescue, Lena arrived at the facility to find something she had never expected to see. Dr. Peterson was sitting outside Zara's room, his leg in a cast, talking quietly with her through the open door. His voice carried none of the fear or tension that had marked every previous interaction between humans and Zara. "She's teaching me about pressure points for pain relief," he explained when he saw Alina approaching. "Techniques from her world that worked better than our medicine. Yesterday I could barely move without agony, but now..." He shifted his position easily, smiling in amazement. Alina looked through the doorway and saw Zara demonstrating gentle hand movements, her patterns glowing in soft instructional blues and greens. For the first time since her arrival, Zara looked truly engaged and happy, sharing knowledge instead of sitting alone. "More people want to meet her," Dr. Peterson continued. "Word is spread about what she did during the emergency. The maintenance crew chief, Rodriguez, he's been asking if he can thank her personally. Says he's never seen anyone work so carefully around dangerous equipment." This was exactly what Alina had hoped for, but hadn't dared to expect. People were finally seeing past their fear to recognize Zara's true nature. However, not everyone was pleased with these developments. Alina found Colonel Williams waiting in her office, along with 2 officials she didn't recognize. Their expressions were stern, and the papers spread across her desk looked official and intimidating. "Dr. Rodriguez, we need to discuss the situation," Colonel Williams began. "While yesterday's events were... dramatic... they've raised serious concerns at the highest levels of government." Alina felt her stomach drop. "What kind of concerns?" One of the new officials, a thin man with cold eyes, spoke up. The subject displayed capabilities that weren't previously documented. Superhuman strength, advanced medical knowledge, the ability to work in hazardous conditions. This makes her potentially more valuable... and more dangerous. Zara, and she used those abilities to save human lives. "That's precisely the problem," the man continued. "If she can be helpful, she can also be harmful. We can't have an uncontrolled alien entity with these capabilities operating freely." Alina's heart began to race. "What are you saying?" Colonel Williams looked uncomfortable. "There's been a decision made at the federal level. The subject... Zara, is to be transferred immediately to a more secure facility where proper research can be conducted." "You mean where she can be locked up and experimented on?" Alina said, her voice rising. "Where she can be properly studied in a controlled environment," the thin man corrected coldly. "Away from emotional attachments that compromise scientific objectivity." Alina stood up, her hands shaking with anger. "Emotional attachments? Do you mean friendship? You mean treating her like a person instead of a lab rat?" "Dr. Rodriguez, you've allowed your feelings to cloud your judgment. This facility was never meant for long-term housing of alien subjects." Alina thought about Zara in the next room, probably wondering why Alina was late for their daily conversation. She thought about the trust in those golden eyes, the careful way Zara handled everything fragile, the loneliness that had finally started to fade. "I won't let you do this," Alina said quietly. The thin man's expression didn't change. "Doctor, you don't have a choice in this matter. The transfer happens tonight." That afternoon, Alina sat with Zara and explained what was happening. Zara listened quietly, her patterns shifting slowly from confusion to sadness to something that looked like acceptance. "They are afraid again," Zara said simply. "My helping yesterday. It showed them I am not weak. Fear of the weak is different from fear of the strong. I'm going to fight this," Alina promised. "There has to be something we can do." Zara's patterns shifted to gentle golds. The color Alina had learned meant deep gratitude. "Alina, you have already given me more than I hoped for. You showed me that not all humans see with fear. That is enough. It's not enough for me." That evening, as Alina watched the preparations for Zara's transfer, she made a decision that surprised even herself. She quietly activated the facility's internal communication system and began to speak. "Attention, everyone. This is Dr. Alina Rodriguez. In 1 hour, they're going to take Zara away from here. They're going to lock her up in a place where she'll never see sunlight again, never have a friend to talk to, never be treated as anything more than a test subject." She could see people stopping their work, looking up at the speakers in confusion and interest. 3 days ago, when this place was falling apart and people were trapped and dying, Zara didn't hesitate to help. She risked her life for people who had been afraid of her since the day she arrived. She used her strength to save lives, her knowledge to heal injuries, her courage to go into danger that the rest of us couldn't face. Alina's voice grew stronger. She's not a monster or a threat. She's a refugee who lost her entire species, her whole world, and ended up here with us. All she's ever wanted is to not be alone, to be understood, to maybe find a friend." By now, Alina could see people gathering outside Zara's room. Dr. Peterson was there, along with several maintenance workers, lab technicians, even some of the security guards who had been most afraid of Zara initially. "If we let them take her, if we let fear win again, then we're telling the universe that humanity isn't ready for friendship with other worlds. We're saying that we choose suspicion over understanding, fear over courage." Alina walked to Zara's room, where her friend was calmly packing the few belongings she had been allowed. The crowd outside was growing larger. "Zara taught me something important," Alina continued over the intercom. "She taught me that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about choosing to do the right thing even when you are afraid. Right now, we all have a choice to make." Colonel Williams appeared at the end of the hallway with the transfer team, but they stopped when they saw the crowd gathered outside Zara's room. People were no longer backing away from her. Instead, they were standing close, talking to her, some even shaking her massive hands. Dr. Peterson stepped forward. "Colonel, we need to talk." What followed was the most unusual meeting in the facility's history. Nearly the entire staff had gathered, and one by one, they spoke up for Zara. The maintenance chief talked about her careful work during the rescue. Lab technicians mentioned her gentle curiosity about their equipment. Even the cafeteria workers shared stories of how politely she always thanked them for meals. "She's not dangerous," Dr. Peterson said firmly. "She's valuable, yes, but not as a test subject, as a teacher, as a friend, as proof that we can overcome our fears and prejudices." Colonel Williams found himself facing something he had never expected: a unanimous staff rebellion in favor of the alien they had once feared. The thin federal official was less impressed. "This is highly irregular. Orders have been given." "Then, the orders need to be changed," Alina said, "because you're not just taking away an alien, you're taking away hope. Hope that humanity can be better than its fears." The standoff continued through the night. Phone calls were made to Washington. Arguments flew back and forth. But something had changed in that facility, something that couldn't be ignored or suppressed. By morning, a new decision had been reached. Zara would stay, but under new conditions. She would become Earth's first official alien cultural ambassador, helping to establish protocols for peaceful contact with other species, Elena would lead a new research program focused on communication and cultural exchange rather than biological experimentation. You did this, Zara told Elena as they watched the transfer team pack up their equipment and leave empty-handed. You helped humans see past their fear. Elena smiled, watching as Dr. Peterson showed Zara how to use the new communication device. That would let her speak with other hidden alien refugees around the world. We did this together. You showed them who you really are, and they found the courage to see it. Zara's patterns blazed with joy and hope. Perhaps now, others like me can come forward? Perhaps humans are ready to join the larger family of worlds. Elena looked out the window at the desert sunrise, thinking about all the possibilities that lay ahead. Fear had given way to understanding. Suspicion had been replaced by friendship. And humanity had taken its first real step toward a larger universe. The question that had started it all, why aren't you afraid of me, had been answered not just with words, but with actions that proved courage could overcome any barrier.